All right, let's talk about that sinking feeling you get when the check engine light pops on. Today, we're going to tackle a really common one, code P0089. If that string of numbers and letters has you scratching your head, you have come to the right place. We're going to break down what it means, what's likely causing it, and most importantly, how you can go about fixing it.
Yep, there it is, that little glowing orange engine on your dash. It's pretty much the most unwelcome sight for any driver, right? But don't worry, today we're going to turn that confusion into some real clarity. Let's dive in. So here's our game plan. First up, what is this code actually trying to tell us? Then we'll cover the symptoms. What should you be looking for when you're driving? After that, we'll play detective and decode the common causes. And finally, the big one, the actual path to a fix. By the end of this, you'll have a much clearer picture of what's going on under the hood.
Okay, first things first. What is code P0089 really telling you? You can think of it as a specific distress signal, a cry for help, coming directly from your car's fuel system.
So, the official title is Fuel Pressure Regulator 1 Performance. But what does that mean in plain English? Well, your car's brain, the Powertrain Control Module, or PCM, is always watching your fuel pressure. It has a target, a desired pressure it wants to see. When the actual pressure it's reading doesn't line up with that target, boom, it flags this code. Now, that pressure could be too high, but, it's usually too low.
So why all the fuss about fuel pressure? Well, it's absolutely critical. Your fuel injectors need to spray a superfine, very precise mist of fuel for your engine to run properly. And for that to happen, the pressure pushing that fuel has to be perfect. If it's off, even by a little, it messes up the whole combustion recipe. And that's going to hit your car's performance and its fuel economy. And here's where things get interesting, because how you diagnose this can really depend on your car. You see, older systems usually just have one low-pressure fuel pump sitting in the gas tank. Simple enough. But a ton of modern cars have gasoline direct injection, or GDI, and those have two pumps. There's a low-pressure one in the tank and a high-pressure one mounted right on the engine. This definitely adds a layer of complexity, so it's super important to know which system you're dealing with.
So we know what the code means in theory, but a code on a scanner is one thing. How does this problem actually feel when you're behind the wheel? Well, your car has a few ways of letting you know something's up.
Obviously, you get the check engine light. But you might also feel your car just isn't accelerating like it used to. It might hesitate or feel like it's totally lost its power. You could also be dealing with a rough idle, weird misfires, or it might be really hard to start. Or it might just stall on you. And hey, if you've noticed you're suddenly visiting the gas station way more often, this code could be the reason why. In really bad cases, you might even see some black smoke puffing out of the exhaust. Okay, we know the what and the how it feels. Now for the fun part, the detective work. What's actually causing all this trouble? Let's round up the usual suspects. Sometimes the simplest explanation is the right one. The problem might not be some complicated, expensive part. It could just be a simple blockage. A clogged up fuel filter is a super common cause. Same goes for a fuel line that's been pinched or damaged somehow. Even a bad tank of gas, something with water or dirt in it, can clog things up and trigger this code.
All right, if it's not a simple clog, then we start looking at the hardware. The part the code is named after, the fuel pressure regulator itself, could just be bad. Or the fuel pump, or one of them, if you've got that GDI system, could be on its way out and just can't keep up. Another possibility? A leaking fuel injector, which would let the pressure in the system just bleed away.
And here's something you've got to remember. It's not always a mechanical problem. The issue could be completely electrical. You could have a faulty fuel pressure sensor that's feeding bad information to the car's computer. So the computer thinks there's a pressure problem when everything is actually fine. Or it could be as simple as damaged wiring or a corroded connector messing up the signal. Okay, so we have our list of suspects. How do we figure out which one is the real culprit without just guessing and throwing expensive parts at the problem? The key, and I mean the key, is having a good step-by-step diagnostic plan. And before you even pick up a wrench, listen to this advice, because it's golden. Every single car is laid out differently. You need to get a diagram for your specific make, model, and year. It'll show you exactly where everything is. The sensors, the pumps, the regulator. Trust me, having that map is absolutely essential if you want to diagnose this correctly.
All right, the process itself is what matters here. First, always check for other codes. They can give you valuable clues. Next, grab your scan tool and look at the live data. You want to compare the desired fuel pressure to the actual fuel pressure. If there's a big gap between those two numbers, that's your smoking gun. But don't stop there. Step 3 is to verify that reading with an old-school mechanical fuel pressure gauge. Why? This tells you if the sensor is lying or telling the truth. After that, you do your physical checks. Look at the filter, look at the lines. Only then do you start testing individual parts like the pump or regulator. And of course, once you've made a repair, clear the code and take it for a good test drive to make sure you actually fixed it.
Whew. We have covered a ton of ground, from what this code is to a full-blown diagnostic plan. So let's wrap this all up and condense it into a clear summary for you.
Just think of this table as your go-to cheat sheet. If you're thinking it's a clogged filter, a visual check and a pressure test are your best friends. Suspect the fuel pump? Then a pressure and volume test is the way to go. And for that tricky pressure sensor, comparing the scan tool data to a real mechanical gauge is the only way to know for sure. The point is, every potential cause has a specific test that can prove it or rule it out.
And really, that's the big takeaway here. Code P0089 could be pointing to a simple $20 fuel filter or a much more expensive fuel pump. Guessing is just going to cost you time and money. Taking the time to properly diagnose the problem isn't just about getting the car fixed, it's about fixing it right the first time. I really hope this helped you get one step closer to putting that check engine light in your rearview mirror. Thanks for watching.